History of film for me is just one of the more enjoyable classes I get to teach, and it's because I've been a bit of a film geek for most of my life. The way that course goes is we walk through the decades of film through the 20s, 30s, and 40s, sort of the Hollywood golden age of film, and then we move on into the subsequent decades. And we also deal with a fair number of great directors because I want students to become aware of names like Alfred Hitchcock. I want them to know who Stanley Kubrick was, and certainly want them to be aware of some of the modern filmmakers like Christopher Nolan or what have you. We do a little bit of a run through with the technical skills of the filmmaking process and the artistic elements that we have to understand there as well. Talk a little bit about screenplays. We talk a lot about actually cinematography, because I want students to understand that this is a visual art. The other component of the class that I try to bring in pretty consistently is an awareness for our students of the ideas that are expressed on screen. They're going to get to see how an existentialism or Kierkegaardian ethics or postmodernism or whatever it may be, how those concepts have actually been woven together in the films by the various filmmakers. The other class that I mentioned is the history of the Great War and the peace settlement. I'm going to incorporate beyond the battlefields. We are going to talk about the campaigns and battles of the First World War, but we're also going to talk about some broader political and social issues that were emerging during that time, and we're going to work through the ways in which that war really set up so much of the 20th century. We're going to look at the Paris Peace Conference and ultimately the Versailles Treaty that was signed, because the consequences of that were heavy. Woodrow Wilson's vision for the world of national self-determination and collective security, and the whole idea of the League of Nations as we came to know it, that is all born in 1919 at the Paris Peace Conference, and then the treaty is signed. And perhaps in ways that no one could have foreseen, the groundwork was being laid for what ultimately erupted as the Second World War. So we have to figure some of that out too. So it's a very interesting topic, as is the history of film. They're great topics. I think we'll have a really interesting semester in both those cases, and I'm looking forward to having many of you in class. Thanks.